Here's another look at what I colored in the month of March 2018. And I also got some new books. This book I found while browsing at Bull Moose. It's a Dover coloring book, and the illustrations are from the original Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, and illustrated by Sir John Tenniel. And I did two in this one. I did the first page, and I used Prismacolor Scholars. And this one I used both Scholars and Premiers. And the Premiers work really well in this book. This next one is the first Inklings book from Tanya Bond, and I found this one on Amazon by a third-party seller for half the price of its normal price. And this is the second Inklings book I have. I also have the Astro Inklings, and I did two in this one. And this is the first one. I did this one with Crayola Artist pencils and gel pens. There we go. And yeah, this one I did with Faber-Castell Classics and Faber-Castell Echo pencils and Stevo Vivid. And this book is Zen Doodle Coloring Magical Fairies by Deborah Moeller. And I saw Ryan's Girl do a flip through of this, and I fell in love. I said, oh, I've got to have this book. And fortunately, I found it at a very low price on Book Outlet. And I did two in here. And this one was done with Prismacolor Scholars and gel pen. There we go. I'm still getting used to this new setup. And one more. There we go. This one was done with Faber-Castell Classics, Crayola Super Tips, and gel pens. And also, I got a PDF of Jade Summer's Greatest Hits when I signed up for their newsletter. And I printed off 4 images, 2 from their original interior designs and 2 from Norse mythology. And I did one of each here. There we go. These 2 are from interior designs. And this one I attempted watercolors up here, and the ink started bleeding into it, and then I went over it with marker, but it streaked, so I left that alone. But the rest of it I finished with Crayola Super Tips, gel pens, and pencils. And these are the two from Norse mythology. And this one is a work in progress. As you can see, I've got quite a lot to finish, including all these bones. I've been working on this for 3 evenings now, because I do a lot of shading. And that's it for the new books. I also dusted off some books I hadn't colored in for several months. I did one from Mermaid, Calm Ocean by Selena Fennick. Well, this one I did for a couple of challenges. One was a weekly challenge in the Facebook group Simple Art for Adults, and Grace's Coloring Corner on Facebook also did a monthly mermaid color along, and I used Crayola Super Tips and Crayola pencils. I did 2 in Glamourista by Jennifer Zimmerman. This one was for a color along on Instagram, People of Color. And I used Faber-Castell Classics and gel pens, and some Crayola Super Tip. And on this one, I used Crayola artist pencils. And this too was for a challenge, a gem challenge. I did one in Enchanted Fairies by Barbara Lanza. And this also was for a challenge on Simple Art for Adults Facebook group for fairies. And I used Prismacolor Scholars and some gel pen. And also Sivo Vivid. I did 2 in the official Throne of Glass coloring book. This one I did exclusively with Prismacolor Scholars. This one I did with Crayola artist pencils, Super Tips, Sharpies, and I think some gel pen. This one makes me want to throw up. See, he's retching, not because of what's in the book, but because of all that pink. If I had to do this one over again, I'd either go with purple or red. I did 2 colorings in Court of Thorns and Roses. This one I did with Prismacolor Scholars Sharpies, and gel pens. This one I did with Staedtler and Prismacolor watercolor pencils. I did two in the official Outlander coloring book. This one I did with watercolor pencils, Staedtler and Prismacolor. Oh, and Sharpies on the little details, such as the people down here. This one I did with Sharpies, metallic markers, Faber-Castell Classics, Crayola, and gel pen. And both illustrations in this book were done by Thomas Love Tomic. I did one in this Pablo Picasso to color in modern art coloring book. Now this was for a coloring challenge on a Color for Lives Facebook page, stippling or pointillism, and I used Sharpies for this. And this is what the original painting looked like.